Hello and welcome back to another episode of the channel. Joining me is my co-host Juno, who is going to be out of commission for this episode, but still happy to have him. Today we're going to be going through some old footage from Guatemala of last year when I got to go see my family and my cousin graduate. And I brought my M9, a Minolta Autocord, and my M3, which I didn't end up using. But I was still able to get a lot of good images from the trip, and I'm happy to share them with you all. So let's go ahead and dive right into the video. Flying into Guatemala, I made sure to get there a few days in advance to spend time with my family alone and to actually go out and get some shots. So I loaded up my Minolta Autocord and made my way into Antigua City, which is one of the oldest cities in Guatemala, and I think one of the oldest in the world. I'm gonna have to fact check myself right here, but it's still beautiful to be there. There's lots of amazing scenery, lots of good photographic potential, and lots of stories to be told. Chasing those stories, I went to the Woodworking District in Antigua, where I met this gentleman, which showed me everything that he'd crafted by hand, including his very own tools. And these images here show his workshop and everything that he used to create the things that he sells to make a living. Next I met this gentleman, which showed me his handcrafted boxes and a lot of birds that he put together as well. The last stop I made in the Woodworking District was at a family that I'd visited years before. This time, they invited me into their home and gave me a look at what it was to live in the Woodworking District. Next, we made our way around the city and I got to explore more of Antigua. After walking around a little bit and getting fit into some traditional Guatemalan clothing, I continued to see how everyone was handcrafting everything that they sold. And I ran into some fellow wanderers. When the sun went down, the whole vibe of Antigua changed. The following day, I went to a church in Santo Domingo, where they were celebrating the Week of the Virgin Mary. And for the week, they did something very special, which you will see shortly. But before we went in, we stopped at a vendor to buy some candles to pay our respects. Entering the church, we saw that it had all been draped with scenery of the Bible, and people went to say their prayers. Next to the church, there was a market where they sold lots of sweets and traditional food, so we went to go check that out. This market was my street photography dream. I felt that there was so much photographic potential here, lots of characters, and lots of pretty colors. And because those colors were so nice, I pulled out my stylus with gold 200 and took these. And I'm pretty happy with that last one. And after a random power outage, the next day I had a nice traditional Guatemalan breakfast. And more importantly, I got to see my little cousin graduate and walk the stage. Later that day, we went to one of my favorite places in Antigua. Later that day, we made our way back to Antigua, and I focused more on the architecture and scenery of the city. Then we hopped in a tuk-tuk and made our way to some markets, which had beautiful fountains and lots of colors. This guy was making a lot of people laugh, and we even bonded for life.
It's just you and me against the world. Oh, okay.
Later that night, we made our way back up to the city for the most important part of the trip, the big graduation party. I think James Bond would approve. Being in Guatemala is always a blessing. It's nice to see my family and walk the streets of Antigua. It's nice to eat the food there. And it's always nice to learn new things, like coconuts are perfect for a hangover. And I enjoyed myself so much that there are times that I didn't record clips, but here are some honorable mentions from the trip that I think are worthy of making it into the video. Thank you again for watching this video of my travels to Guatemala. I know it was last year and I had different hair, but I'm still happy to actually be able to put out the video. It was nice to look back at these photos and the moments that I got to experience, and I hope that you all enjoyed the video. Say goodbye to Juno, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.